put you in a position to challenge for an SEC championship. So we got to go on the road to Tuscaloosa. We've got to raise our level of preparation this week. It's not about rising up to the competition. It's rising to the level of preparation necessary to play an outstanding football team in all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams. I think Coach Saban and his staff, Coach Reese, should be commended for what they've been able to accomplish offensively since early in the season, and obviously committed to Jalen. He's really done a nice job throwing the football. I think a lot of people were questioning his ability to throw it, but he's been effective, efficient, big plays. Certainly Bond and Burton at the wide receiver position have given them playmakers. They're physical up front. I think they're massive on the offensive line. Williams and McClellan at the running back position. And, of course, their defense has been as good, if not better, than anybody consistently over the last 6 weeks, giving up 21 points or fewer. Turner and Downs and Arnold, there's a number of players. Their defensive line is stout and physical, outstanding in special teams. Shard is one of the best in the country. So, again, we know what we're up against. Outstanding football team on the road, playing at Alabama, and a great challenge and a great opportunity for us at the same time. So we'll practice today and get an opportunity to begin the preparation for an outstanding football team. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Brian, right in the middle. What did you use last week for? What did you kind of drill down on? And was it a back to fundamentals thing, a rest thing? What did you?
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything. I think we talked about it last week. I think it was important for us to do some self-scouting, some things that we needed to work on. I think it was important that, from a technical standpoint, we continue to grow technically in some areas, on both sides of the ball. And then, you still want to meet a workload, criteria, because, you just can't continue to go through the season and then all of a sudden, put up a stop. So we got to about 70% of our average workload last week, and gave the guys some active rest over the weekend, and then they reported last night, and we're back to work today.
Hey, Brian, could you talk a little bit about your relationship with Tommy Reese? I know you try to get him to come here with you, but then also when you watch Alabama on film, you'd see things that look familiar when you two were at Notre Dame together?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a connection there. He played for me. We've got a deep connection relative to a player-coach relationship, and then a respect for him as a coach and what he's done in this profession at an early age. He's somebody that, I have a lot of respect for in what he's done, certainly at Notre Dame, and then, in a very short time taking, an offense and transforming it, quickly during the season. He's a competitor. He always was as a player, and you can see that as a coordinator. His teams are going to be physical. They're going to run the football. They're going to push the ball down the field, and they're going to, more than anything else, they're going to utilize their personnel as he'll mold the offense to fit the personnel. And I think that's what smart coaches do, and he's an outstanding football coach.
Hi. What can you say about the work ethic and the attitude of the players going into one of the toughest games of the season?
Well, they've exhibited a great work ethic. I think any program is built on a standard of work, and look, I mean, this game requires an incredible commitment, and so our players have been committed to that end, and certainly it takes more than just a work ethic. It takes a consistency week in and week out. And I like our mindset. Our team understands that it's more than just coming into work. It's working efficiently, purposely, and I think that they've done that over the past year and a half, where they've understood that it's not just about working; it's about working purposely.
Hey, Coach, could you update the availability of Duce, Denver, and Zy ahead of this weekend? And I guess Ashton Stamps, where he's at with his rehab of injury.
Duce is not available. Denver's not available. Zy is not available. Ashton Stamps will practice today.
Coach, if you're in the same position that you are last year, will you go for 2 again?
The exact same position. Yeah, I mean, that's a feel of the game. So it's really hard to answer the question. I felt like the game itself was such that our guys were executing at such a high level that was kind of what prompted that decision. So I think from my perspective, it's really about a gut feeling at the time, more so than, what's the perfect scenario. And I think the feeling was that we were executing at a high level at that time. It was time to go for it.
Coach, right here. There's a lot of inexperience in the defensive backfield. What have you seen from them during the bye week coming into a big game like this?
Well, they've been around long enough now. I mean, I think, you're into the season now, 8 games. They had, some time here in camp and some, we had some mid-year enrollment. So, to say that they're inexperienced, yes, they haven't played a lot of SEC games, but they know what they're doing. They understand our techniques. They know what's expected of them. We're in a position where we feel comfortable and confident that they can go out and get the job done. Even though they don't have a lot of SEC games underneath their belt, they're quite capable of going out there and playing at a high level. So I'd say more than anything else, you have to have confidence in your players and their ability to do it. And I've got confidence that, whether it's Jeremiah Hughes or David Toviano, Ashton Stamps, all 3 of those freshmen can go out and play at the level necessary for us to win a championship.
Coach, is it harder these days and win at all costs and pressure to win to stick to your long-term vision of a program and the guys and the standard that you want to live up to, as opposed to the short-term gain of maybe playing somebody to help you win a game?
Well, it's never been a problem for me because I have a vision for our program, and the vision includes more than just winning. It includes developing excellence both on and off the field, and so we're certainly not there yet. We have to continue to grow relative to the identity of our football team. So I know I'm hired and fired on wins and losses, but I've never really worried about that. This is the 5th program I've taken over, and I've always built the program based upon excellence in the classroom and on the football field. And then that process has usually taken care of itself, and it's equaled success. So the question is a good question, but I don't think I've ever looked at it that way. And it helps when you have a 10-year contract, too. And so, again, that's not been my motivation in any way or shape, fashion. It's been much more about, developing a championship program in all of those facets, first and foremost.
Hey, Coach, you complimented the Alabama offense with the way that they've sort of adapted from the beginning of the year to now. What have you seen specifically with Jalen Milroe and the way that he's adjusted from the opener to now?
I think at first, there was this sense that he was just going to run all over the place, right? This is going to be a running quarterback, but he's not. I mean, he'll run and he can go from 0 to 60 as well as anybody. And he is a threat to run. There's no doubt about that. But he's going to stay in the pocket. He's going to throw the football. And the way they create offense is through a balance of running the football, formationing you so you can get some shots down the field. And he throws the ball well. I mean, he throws the ball well. And and he can hit the open targets. He can push the ball down the field. And so I think what he's done really well is when he's been given the opportunity to take shots down the field, he's hooked up. He hasn't missed receivers. When they've created the opportunities, he's come through for them, and I think that's been impressive.
Two, if I can. Your offense has clearly established what it's capable of. How much is this week about them not trying to be something they're not, or trying to do something they're not, because the game is obviously elevated? And then secondly, in the post-game video against Army, I think they gave you a game ball or something. You said something to the effect that, you're really enjoying your time here. This is maybe your most enjoyable time. I was just curious why. You alluded to the development of players. Is it because of kind of the development that you've seen this team from week one to kind of pull through?
Yeah, I think the offense clearly recognizes their ability to be explosive, but have balance on offense and defense. So there's no reason for them not to be anything but who they are. And so I think that there's a confidence level that, if they prepare the right way, if they stick to their process, that they're going to have success. And so I think that's been their mindset, is just practice and, put in the preparation the right way, and things will take care of themselves. What I was alluding to is essentially that this is a young group of players. We traveled 21 freshmen again this weekend. We had a slew of transfers come in on defense, and it was really a new group that we had to kind of, onboard, if you will, in the second season. And so just the development of the football team has been enjoyable. Watching the growth of the football team. They've done everything we've asked them to do. They have done the little things, and it's been hard. It's not been easy. There was a difficult loss to start the season. There was a very disappointing loss on the road, but they haven't backed down at all, and that's been enjoyable as a coach.
Coach, right here in the middle, are there any other injuries to report, particularly maybe Mekhi Wingo?
Yes, Mekhi had surgery. He is out for the season.
Out for the season?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I would say this, the projections are 6 weeks, so we'll see where that, where that goes.
Right, okay, and so on the D-line, who you're looking to fill that void, and how does his absence on the D-line sort of affect that group?
Next man up, we'll rely on the rotation that you saw pretty much against Army. It'll be a similar rotation.
Coach, do you ever have time or an interest maybe in the offseason to look at the history of the history of the rivalry at LSU Alabama, or a series, or jump into that kind of history at all, even though it might not even be important?
No, Mike updates me. Mike is my local historian. He will, and as you know, he carries history very well because he's been here so damn long. He fills me in. How many years has it been?
Since we played Alabama?
No, that you've been here. He's been here 30 years, so he is a resident historian. So, no, I think Mike does a great job of filling me in on a lot of the history of all of the games. And during the year, I learn about Mississippi State, the Auburn games, this Alabama game. And for me, it's exciting, right? Because I get immersed in, some of the great games and the great rivalries and the great names that have been part of this game. So I love it. I think it's exciting. And for me, because, I had been in the Midwest for most of my career, I catch just kind of, the highlighted games. And so to get filled in on some of the other ones has been really fun.
I was wondering if ever, like after you finished the game at Notre Dame and got home, if you ever happened to catch any of an LSU Alabama game over the years.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, I love watching college football, so it certainly would have been a game that I would have watched. I remember some of those slugfests when it was 10-3, 10-7, some of those tight games. Great defense on both sides of the ball, fighting for every inch. Just some classic games, and really enjoyed watching them.
Coach, when Coach Saban speaks, he talks about the process and not outcomes, and I think you say a lot of the same things since you've gotten here. How much do you maybe see some similarities in terms of organization and your viewpoint on things, and do you observe other successful head coaches, read up on them, take notes to help yourself?
Yeah, I think most head coaches that have been in this business, clearly understand that, the process of what you do and how you do it is probably, most important, to the day-to-day. And we've been in it a long time, both of us. And so we have developed what our process is individually through our years of experience, sometimes good and bad. So he has shaped what his process is and how that has been so effective for him. And likewise, I've shaped the process that I use on a day-to-day basis based upon my experience. So I think you'll find that in many ways, coaches, focus in on a process instead of outcomes because it's so important to develop that with your team.
Yeah, Brian, right here. With Nick, he's adapted to so many coordinators over the years, like every few years. How does a guy do that and just keep it consistent? Is that something that you kind of look at like, I don't know how he does that?
That's a great question. I think it's been remarkable because, you're bringing in, a different personality, a different person. He does such a great job of vetting that out and making sure that they fit. And clearly, what Nick talks about on a day-to-day basis, they have to obviously be in lockstep with him. And that just goes to the great leadership that he provides on a day-to-day basis. So you got one voice, and it's Coach Saban's voice, and everybody else is following in line with that. And so I think that's allowed multiple leadership positions underneath him to come in because he creates such a clear message of what is going to take place on a day-to-day basis.
Here in the middle. With Jaden Daniels, fair or unfair, I think a lot of people that are watching the Heisman hopefuls are going to look at this game in particular for him and see how he does. Do you, given all the football you've seen him play, and obviously, your very nuanced view of what he's done here, do you think that's fair, and is that something that, what's your expectation?
It'll be part of the body of work throughout the entire season. He's going to have other games. He's going to have the Florida game and Georgia State and Texas A&M and postseason, but it'll certainly be part of the body of work. If he throws 4 interceptions and, certainly we don't play well, that will be part of the body of work throughout the entire season. So, again, I don't know that it's one game that makes or breaks a Heisman. I think it's the body of work, and I think we're seeing that as the season, plays out. But certainly, he's going to be judged on the entire season, and there'll be a lot of eyes certainly on this particular game.
Hey, Coach, over here. So what's the status of Emory Jones from his injury, and what have you seen from his Lance Hurd just to have that luxury of a guy that, as a freshman, that's played a whole lot of football and has done pretty well for y'all?
Yeah, Emory's practicing. We had him moving around last week, and he participated in our workouts. But he'll be a full go for practice today. Lance has done a great job of coming in and playing at a high level. It's great to have a true freshman that come in and compete at the level he did against Auburn and at Army. So he'll be ready and prepared if we do in fact call on him.
Just curious what you've seen in Alabama's defense. So much of the talk has been about the progress on offense.
Yeah, well coached, stingy. Kevin Steele and his staff do a great job. Again, as I said, I think that there's not a lot of air in that defense. You're going to have to be on top of things. We're going to have to be very balanced. You can't just want to throw it all over the place or think that you're going to go in there and move the line of scrimmage. They're big and physical up front. The linebacker play is outstanding. As I mentioned earlier, I think, Turner Baswell on the edge. They're long and athletic, and look, they're both 6'3", 6'4", 240 pounds, and they create problems in the pass rush, and certainly, can run and hit. So it's a really good football team. It's, again, as I said, I think it's the best defense in all three phases. And look, it's the challenge that an offense like ours, really is up for, and will have to play their best. But that's what this is about, right? Is you want to be your best when your best is needed, and our offense will have to be at their best when their best is needed.
Just to confirm, Brian, Chestnut and Harris, any chance they could be eligible to play Saturday, or is that
No, they're not playing.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of LSU fans following our tweets and watching live probably freaking out a little bit about the fact that you have all these defensive backs out, and now Wingo is out for the rest of the season. How do you deal with this? Obviously, you got a great offense going. This is not your first big game, but it's a big game, and you're missing some key pieces on your defense going.
Yeah, clearly we'd love to have Wingo in the lineup, but he has an injury, and we're built for injuries. You can't be built for 11 players. We have depth. We have good players that will step up and be ready to play, and will play at a high level. So, again, it's part of football. In this game, if you lose one guy and you're not able to answer the bell, then you're not very good. We think we've got a good football team. We're going to miss them. But we have guys that will step up and compete at a high level.
And down here on your right, talking about next man up, Jordan Jefferson, but also some backups like Paris Shan, Braden Swinson, have all played really well for y'all this year. What are your thoughts on those guys coming off the bench?
Yeah, I think Jordan Jefferson's playing at a high level. It's graded out probably as our best defensive tackle. Physical at the point of attack, uses his hands well. It's getting great separation. Gap integrity has been outstanding. He's playing really well. Paris Shan, technically very, very good. Grading out at the top for our defensive line over the last 3 weeks. And Swinson's been really good in pass rush. So those three guys, as much as it hurts that, we don't have a few of the guys that we got in the portal at the defensive back position, those three guys, and having Omar back too, makes a difference. Having a veteran linebacker who knows the game really well, those four guys have made a significant difference for us.
Hey, Coach, just to clarify, with Zy, he's unavailable for the Alabama game specifically, not just for, today.
He's unavailable for the Alabama game, and as I said, he could be out for a significant period of time.
Okay.
Yes.
And with your secondary, with your younger corners, how do you sort of prepare for a guy like Milroe who can really chuck the ball downfield? What kind of emphasis is it on trying to stop those big plays downfield?
Yeah, look, as I said, these kids, they're elite players coming out of high school. I mean, they're elite players. And now you're putting them in a position where they just have to be confident and trust their technique and trust what we've taught them. And so now it's taking that trust and putting it in from preparation to performance and playing emotionally at a level which allows them to do their job. And I think we've been at it long enough now where these guys are ready to go. They got no choice unless you're ready to go. I'm not sure. We could have a matchup problem. But these guys are ready to play. And look, they're young. Many have said inexperienced. I get it. They haven't played a lot of SEC games. But these guys are really good players. And they'll get out there and they'll compete. They'll compete for LSU.
You mentioned Omar. Just what kind of settling factor has he been since he's come back?
Well, he's, again, we had Witt in there, and everybody loves Witt, and I love Witt too. He's athletic, he's fast, he runs around, he really is going to be an outstanding football player for us. Omar brings a settling influence out there with Greg Penn. You've got two veteran players that have seen it, done it, have played a lot of snaps. And as much as we talk about the back end of the defense that don't have a lot of snaps, it's nice to be able to come back and have, two veteran linebackers in there communicating to the back end with two safeties that have played a lot of football. So we're really, looking at the veteran presence that he brings, and it's an added advantage for us in terms of having him on the field. Great. Thank you.